are times when a person does not lose everything at once, but slowly, piece by piece, until one day he looks around and realizes there is nothing left of the life he once recognized. Not because the world changed, but because he did. And before we go further, if you are someone who enjoys stories that do not just tell events, but dissect the human condition, stories that show how a man can fall without even moving, then stay, subscribe. Because this story is not just about one person, it is about what can happen when identity itself begins to disappear. This is the world of the Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, and at the center of this world, there is a man, Gregor Samsa, a name that once meant something, a son, a brother, a worker, a man who woke up every day with purpose, not a purpose he chose, but a purpose he carried, for his family, for their survival, for a life that depended on him. He does not live for himself. He lives for others, and for a long time, that seems normal, until one morning, without warning, without explanation, he wakes up, and everything is different. Not his room, not his house, not the world outside, but him, his body, has changed, transformed into something unrecognizable, something that does not fit into human life anymore. And in that moment, the story does not become about the transformation, it becomes about what follows it. Because the real question is not what he has become, but how the world responds to it. At first, there is confusion. He tries to move, to speak, to understand what is happening, but his body does not respond the way it used to. And even then, his first thought is not fear, it is work. He is late, he is worried about his job, about the responsibilities that still exist, even though he can no longer fulfill them. This is the first sign that his identity was never his own. It was built on what he could provide. When his family discovers him, the reaction is not understanding. It is shock, fear, rejection. His father, strong, dominant, unable to accept what he does not understand, sees him not as a son, but as a threat, a disturbance, something that must be controlled or removed. His mother, fragile, overwhelmed, caught between love and fear, she cannot fully reject him, but she cannot accept him either. And then there is Gregor Samsa, his sister. At first, she is the only one who shows something close to care. She brings him food, cleans his room, tries to understand his needs. She becomes the bridge between him and the human world. But even that does not last, because care, when it is not supported by understanding, can turn into burden, and burden can turn into resentment. As time passes, Gregor does not just lose his body, he loses his place, his role, his value. He can no longer work, no longer provide, no longer be what he was. And slowly the family adapts, but not in a way that includes him. They adapt by moving on, by replacing his role, by redefining their lives without him. And this is where the story becomes something much deeper, because Gregor is still there, still thinking, still feeling, still human, inside. But to them, he is no longer a person. He is a problem, a presence they must tolerate, until they can no longer do so. His room becomes smaller, not physically, but symbolically. It becomes a space of confinement, a place where he is kept hidden, removed from the world he once belonged to. And slowly, even his connection to himself begins to fade. He remembers his past, but it feels distant, like something that belonged to someone else. His humanity is still there, but it is no longer recognized, not by others, and eventually, not even by himself. Gretty, who once cared for him, begins to change. She grows, becomes stronger, more independent, but also more distant. She no longer sees him as a brother, but as something that must be removed for the family to move forward. And this is the final break, not the transformation, but the loss of recognition. The moment when the last person who saw you stopped seeing you. Gregor understands, not through words, but through silence, through distance, through the way the world has shifted around him, that he no longer belongs. And in that understanding, he does not fight. He does not resist. He lets go, not because he wants to die, but because there is nothing left to hold on to. And in the end, he disappears, quietly, without drama, without recognition. And the world continues. His family moves on, relieved, free, ready to build a new life, as if he was never there. And now, this is where the story stops being about Gregor Samsa and starts becoming about you. Because the real question is not what happened to him, but how much of your identity is built on what you do, what you provide, what others expect from you. And if all of that disappeared, what would remain? Who would you be if the world stopped recognizing you? And if this story has made you think, even in silence, do not ignore it. Subscribe, stay, because the next story will not just show you another life. It may show you what happens when a person loses his place in his own world.